What did your friend do that accidentally turned you on? I was in the army at the time, and I was teaching my friends back home combatives. I was showing a female friend how to get out of a headlock, and she jokingly lightly bite me. I let go of the lock for an entirely different reason. At a party, someone was going around taking pics. They came up to her and I chatting. She turned around, bent over to press against my junk and posed like I was doing her from behind, then went back to chatting without skipping a beat. I don't think I heard anything she said after that for the next 5 minutes. I was waiting for him to finish what he was working on to go to our planned lunch break together. Looks across the room to see what his status was right as he stood up and stretched, and his sweatshirt lifted up and I could see every cut and curve of his lower abdomen. Holy shit. I was like a deer in headlights. The lady boner was instant. He's not cut or in some sort of particularly good shape, but something about just seeing him like that struck a nerve. And he saw me looking, and saw my eyes wide, and there's no way he couldn't read it all over my face. Never mentioned it, but hard to get that image out of my head. He's gawked at my boobs now and again, though, so I figure we're even. He tucked my hair behind my ears while I was working on a project and couldn't do it myself due to the materials. It was such a simple gesture, but it was so gentle, and we made direct eye contact when I saw his arm reach out. It was just so intimate. Unfortunately, we don't talk anymore, but I still think about that every now and then. It still makes me blush. I hope he's having a good day wherever he is. Was outside the bar having a smoke. She walked up and grabbed my cigarette with one hand and wrapped an arm around me, and said, "You need to stop being alone so much." Was clocking out at work, and my coworker friend grabbed my ponytail and tugged. Yeah, I may have made an inappropriate noise, 'cause it's kinda my thing. When my college was playing one of those campus-wide zombie apocalypse tag games, chased me around as a zombie and tackled and pinned me. Anyway, now we're married. We were being really sarcastic to each other and having a fake argument at work during a lunch break. Then she leans in, and in my face, with direct eye contact, in a low sultry voice said, "Yeah, my name. Fuck you," then let out a wry sideways smile. That did something for me. New kink unlocked. I don't know how to replicate it, but I still think about it to this day. I was with my friend on a public bus and it was really crowded. She didn't have any seat to sit and was tired, so she sat on my lap. Petted my hair. OMG yes. My friend once pat her dog and pat my head too as a joke. It was months ago, but I still think about it regularly. Me and a friend were going fishing and needed to get new licenses. I made a joke about a parent-child license being the cheapest option. My friend, who I cannot stress enough, has never made a sexual remark to me in her life, turns to me and says, "Hey, Daddy," and winks. I wore a suit for the first time around them, and they gave me a look I'd never experienced before. My wife always wants me to wear a suit, but I'm happy in the same jeans and t-shirt for a week. But I recently learned something. Men in a suit to women equals women in lingerie to men. WHO knew? True fact of life. If you always see people dressed casually, them dressed formally is the most attractive thing ever. The same goes the other way. If you always see someone dressed formally, them dressed casually is incredibly attractive. ZZ Top knew. Cause every girl crazy about a sharp dress man. About 25 years ago now, in high school. After seeing my drawings, she said I should draw her nude sometime. In hindsight, it probably wasn't an accident, but she had a boyfriend and I didn't want to be that guy. Edit. I don't mind that it never happened. I met my wife a couple years later and we've been together since. I don't know if things would have turned out differently if I'd hooked up with my high school friend, but I'm happy with how it all turned out in the end. Our class wrote an exam. One of my female friends finished earlier than me, and had to give her already finished exam to the teacher. I sat in front of her, and when she walked by me, I smelled a lovely perfume, and she whispered to me in a calm and kind voice, "Happy birthday." Boy, I couldn't concentrate on the exam anymore. She stopped way before her shift one morning. Since I live literally 2 minutes from her work, she just face planted onto my bed and threw the blanket over herself, then said she just wanted to be lazy. My penis somehow ended up inside her 5 minutes later. Spent a full semester as a freshman in a pretty tight friend group. Few girls, few guys. Never had any tension or eye for any of them. At the end of semester, One of the girls invited a few of us to her room for a study session, since she was lucky enough to not have a roommate. I arrived first, just when she was getting back from a team practice from some sport. I can't remember which. Before anyone else got there, without warning, she tears off her uniform down to sports bra and shorts, so she can put on a clean tee and pants. Then she got straight into a book. I went a year without eyes for her, but that was close to the hottest anyone has ever looked to me. Touched my beard. Just wanted to know what it felt like, but for some reason it really turned me on. Make a full course meal of my favorites. Apple pie with a shit ton of whipped cream, spicy pork ramen, Caesar salad and spaghetti. Never have I ever wanted to wife anyone up as much as her in that moment. Edit. We're both straight women. My friend offered to give me some pointers at the driving range, so I would feel more comfortable at a work function. I had never swung a golf club in my life. After about 30 minutes trying to verbally describe what I was doing wrong and how to fix it, he finally put his hands on my hips and moved them correctly. I could tell he was very intentionally trying not to make it sexual, but sploosh anyway. One of a bunch of fairly new friends. We all went to a local campground in the spring. She was a petite redhead, and was wearing a dark green big poofy sweater, and that is a killer combination to start anyway. Complained it was too hot when the sun came out, and did the take it off arc your back with arms crossed in front move that showed her white t-shirt and a little of what was underneath, then tossed her hair to put it back in place. I had to go splash cold water on my face. Jesus, I can still picture it decades later. We did hook up a few weeks later, but we weren't really compatible. Still have this fond memory though. Called me sweetheart and said, "Atta girl." I had to tell him not to, because I had a praise kink. Turns out he's a pleasure dumb, and we've been dating for almost a year now. Coworker friend. We were at work and talking on the production floor before I headed back to my office. He's goofy and we started laughing together at something, and he place-slapped my upper thigh. One day he had to adjust himself and undid his belt and turned away, but I could not look away. He said that it was in a headlock. My brain instantly turned to mush. My friend once laid down on my bed. She stretched her arms upwards, ruffled her hair, then randomly gave me the biggest smile out of boredom. It was hot because stretching her arms made her chest pop and jiggle a bit, but wholesome at the same time. BC. She just looked so comfortable in my bed. Comparing heights. My friend and I often argued over who was taller. Our licenses listed the same height, but we insisted that we were actually slightly taller than the other. Often we would stand back to back and try to force our friends to declare the tallest, but consensus was never achieved. Once during a party at his place we ended up alone in the basement for a few minutes, jokingly arguing again about who was taller. We got in each other's faces playfully to compare heights since no one was there to judge an IDK. Just the playfulness and proximity gave me an electric sing that I wasn't expecting. We remained friends, attended college in different states, and it didn't come up until after I graduated, and we got a chance to reconnect. After a casual brunch turned into 24 hours long date, he mentioned feeling that first sing all those years ago too. He proposed in October. Also, we're still the same height. He's slightly taller, but I'll never admit it to him. I guess we will just have to keep comparing our heights forever.